Okay, welcome. This is the She Means Business Scotland show. Welcome along. We're going to be talking about how to make sure that you're able to create engaging posts on Facebook. And the reason why we want to make sure that you're able to create engaging posts on Facebook is because if you're not doing social media. So we're going to go dive into that in a second, but let me first of all tell you a little bit about me and what we're doing in the She Means Business Scotland group. So the She Means Business Scotland group was set up by myself, as well as Enterprise Nation and Facebook themselves. Facebook has a mission of helping women get into business, who are thinking about getting into business, or who want to grow their business onto the next level using all the amazing tools and tricks that you can find on Facebook, as well as Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp, which are all owned by Facebook. So normally the She Means Business Scotland events would have been happening on a live basis. You know, we've done a couple of them already before lockdown. We've done Inverness, we've done Aberdeen, we've done Edinburgh and Glasgow. And we were looking to be able to go into all different parts of Scotland to make sure that the message was going out there. I know I've got a very fond memory of teaching in Stornoway and Harris, for example, because even though the numbers are small, the turnout is massive when we go to those places because there are so few kind of big experts that actually travel that far. They always complain that people only go as far as Edinburgh or Glasgow. If we're lucky, they'll go to Inverness, and that's about it. So anyway, the She Means Business Scotland show was supposed to be going everywhere. Lockdown happened, so we decided to put it all online. So basically the format is every single week we've got fantastic guests being interviewed, fantastic women based in Scotland who are doing incredible things. And we've had just an enormous level of inspirational women to do with health and fitness, to do with mental resilience during the lockdown, to do with parenting, to do with Brand Scotland. We had the head of Brand Scotland, Kat Lever, on. We've had the chair of the Scottish 5G Centre on. You know, we've just had some incredible heavy hitters, as well as women on the grassroots level, you know, doing the good stuff, creating all the magic in the local communities and high streets of our tunes and cities. So that's Facebook, and then Enterprise Nation is the other kind of collaborator in this project. Enterprise Nation, you need to check them out online. They're a fantastic organization. They've been helping small businesses and startup businesses for years. Predominantly, they were based in England, but now they've massively moved up to Scotland, and I'm the kind of spearhead for a lot of the Scottish activities. And they've got tons and tons of resources on their site, everything from training to coaching to lives and things like that. So all the tools you might need to be able to start up and develop your business, even especially during the time of COVID, because they have a huge amount of resources to do with what funds you need to be applying for, what grants you need to be applying for, and even what competitions you should be applying for to see if you might win some money. Speaking of which, I am a judge on the Scottish panel of a Salesforce and Enterprise Nation competition, which has just been released. And it's basically allowing small businesses to win up to £5,000 in order to help get through the not just the lockdown, but the recovery, because the recovery is going to be just as tricky for most people trying to get their businesses back on track or even started up. So let me just check and see if we're actually managing to go on the Facebook Live, because every single week we've had problems with actually going live, but it's basically Zoom doesn't want to talk to Facebook, or Facebook is just so overwhelmed because there's been so many people online. We actually have 50% more people online at the moment than we have ever had in the history of online. Oh, it looks like we are going live. This is great. Oh, wow, this is fantastic. Welcome. This is a first. So one of the things I wanted to say to you was that this is actually the last of the series, of going live, because we started that at the beginning of the lockdown, and I timed it perfectly to finish when the lockdown was basically coming to an end. So I knew in my mind's eye that the date of the end of May was going to be the date where all the lockdown restrictions were going to be released. So we are coming to an end of this current season. However, we're just going to take a small break, and we want to come back even bigger and better than before. This time with the podcast, this time with the YouTube live, this time with the LinkedIn potentially as well. So we'll see what's going to be happening. Hey Jack, nice to see you. Hey Michelle, lovely to have you on board. Hey Kathy, you're such a regular, I love you. And hi to Margaret as well, and Maria. So that's everybody on the Zoom and the Facebook Live as well. So that's fantastic. Good numbers today. Just in time for the last in the series, but don't worry, we'll be coming back and letting you know all about what we're going to be doing in the future. Okay, so word of warning to everybody who's on the Facebook Live. When I'm sharing my screen now, but when I press full screen, it normally for some reason blocks out everything on Facebook Live. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to press full screen. I'm just going to make it large in order to make sure that we're not losing our Facebook Live people. And I have no idea. I've spoken to all the experts and asked them what the hell's going on. Why, if I press play for the full screen, the whole thing disappears on Facebook Live? Nobody's got an answer, but I'm sure we'll work it out for season 2. Okay, so today, I haven't even told you about myself. So I am Finn Wycherley. I run a small digital agency, boutique digital agency called Supersize Media here in Edinburgh. And we service clients in Southwest Australia, Vietnam, Southeast Australia actually as well at the moment, San Diego, France of course. I used to live there, so I've still got my connections there, and throughout UK, and a lot of people in Scotland obviously as well. I'm here based in Edinburgh. I went to high school here, but my accent is a wee bit weird because I lived in Paris for a long time. And I also lived in Stonehaven, and I also lived in England. So my accent just became a whole kind of cornucopia of accents. And the worst thing is I also pick up other people's accents when I'm talking to them. So it's quite embarrassing, especially if I'm talking to people with very thick accents. They think I'm taking the piss, basically. All right, so that's me, Finn Wycherley of Supersize Media. And I've been working with Facebook and Pinterest recently, to be able to provide training for all sorts of organizations, from Skyscanner to the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce. I've consulted at 10 Downing Street and Scottish Parliament, obviously, as well. And in case anybody was quick on the draw, you would have heard me on BBC Radio Scotland about 20 minutes ago or so, talking about the latest Twitter warfare going on with President Donald Trump, because yesterday, they actually put a label on one of his tweets saying this is, you should fact check this information. So obviously everybody was going crazy about president tweets being fact checked by Twitter. But this morning, Twitter decided to actually delete one of his tweets because it went against their rules, which were, we don't allow anybody to threaten violence on our platform. So although a lot of people are going crazy about how dare you censor the president of the United States of America, on the other hand, I think that personally, now that I'm not on the BBC, I can speak a bit more frankly. If anybody threatens violence online, whether they're a numpty who's threatening to rape a woman just because they don't like her opinion, or threatening to batter somebody, those guys those people need to be censored, absolutely. The public platforms and the public streets are free for everybody who wants to conduct themselves in a civil manner, but as soon as they start provoking or inciting violence or making people in fear for their lives, then that's the time where the law has to come down, or even Twitter law has to come down and take their freedoms of speech away because they have been abused. That's me being candid, but we can talk more another time over a glass of wine, maybe virtual, obviously. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about how to create engaging posts on Facebook. And the reason why you want to absolutely learn why you should be creating engaging Facebook. I'm just checking all the comments on the live. This is so good that you guys are here. The reason why you want to make sure that you are creating a live, oops, come back. Right, I'm just going to make sure I am sharing my screen. Yes, everybody's sharing. That's fine. Where is it gone? 1 second, I've lost my screen. Go away. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have checked Facebook. It was it's got me all confused now. Right, we're back. Okay, so I hope you can let me know if you can see my screen, which says how to create engaging posts. I'm not going to be able to check anybody's information on Facebook Live at the moment. For some reason, I can't see both screens, but for those people who are in the Zoom, just give me a thumbs up if you can see the how to create engaging posts slide. Everybody okay? Yes, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Okay, let's crack on. All right, we know who that is. That's old me. Today, we're going to be defining our audience, working out the best practices for page posts, creating your content calendar, boosting your posts, and discovering the power of page insights. Okay, that's all we're going to be doing today. Come on, don't freeze on me now. All right, let me, okay, good. Defining your target audience. So one of the reasons why I want to be able to talk about this, and this is absolutely key to everything you do on social media. It doesn't matter whether it's on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn or on YouTube or anything like that. 99% of businesses make the mistake of pumping and dumping, or as some other people call it, posting and ghosting. All right, they just figure it's a place where we can just stick up information and then just go off somewhere else. Okay, but that's not social media marketing. That is what we call social media hoping or social media publishing, because just sticking it out there onto your platform, whatever platform of choice, will guarantee that more than 90% of people, even if they're fans of your page, will never see that content. Okay, so I apologize if that's quite shocking news for people, but that is the reality. Nowadays we have, billions and billions of people online, even more so during lockdown than ever, 50% more than usual. And the reality is that if you imagine that even with 100 followers, 100 of those fans are going to see your content, you got another thing coming. Because when Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter look at that post, they have to decide, is this post that you've just put up there something of value, right? And the only way they can determine whether it's going to be of value or not is whether there's likes, comments, shares, people clicking through to the website, people stopping on the scroll, people watching some of the video. That's all regarded as engagement. So if you're not getting any engagement, then automatically the algorithms, basically the kind of maths program, the artificial intelligence within each of the platforms, the algorithms will decide this is a spammy post. This is a spammy piece of content. So we're going to make sure that we limit the damage that it's causing in the newsfeed, because ultimately, whether we're Twitter or we're Facebook, we want to make sure that when people go online and come on our platform, they're not going to be bombarded with all kinds of garbage that's coming up on the newsfeed. So If you're posting stuff and nobody's reacting to it, nobody's engaging with it, then guaranteed it will be seen by less than 3% of your fans, okay? And so even if you've managed to tell your friends and family and employees and volunteers and board and everybody to go in and like the Facebook page and like the posts, that again is a terrible, terrible idea, terrible. Because also the algorithms have to try and learn. So if these are the kinds of people that like our stuff, we're going to make sure that those people see the stuff, right? So the only 3% that see your content are those people who you've been telling to go and like your stuff. And what's worse is if you actually decide to, give some money to Facebook to make sure it goes out to a certain demographic of target consumers, then they will base that information on who is already engaging on your platform, who is already following you, who is already a fan of yours on that platform. So if the only people who are fans of yours on social media are friends, family, and a couple of stakeholders, and none of them are prospects, well, guess what? Even if you put budget onto it, that you will get even worse results, because you're going to get more of those kinds of people who are not prospects. So, do you see what I mean? It's really, really important to make sure that you're not encouraging your beloveds to come in and give you some likes and give you some shares and try and get some likes, try and get some fake likes from people artificially in order to look popular or look more significant. Don't ever do that. Because if you have 90% of people who are fans of your company online and those people are not regularly engaging, well, that's going to affect your engagement stats, isn't it? It's going to make your posts look to the algorithms as if they're posts of zero value. So this is why you need to think about creating content that's going to get the likes, the comments, the shares. Do not be posting and ghosting or pumping and dumping. All right. So part of that process is defining who your target is, target audience, your buyer persona, understanding what's going to make them tick and how to make them actually take action, right? Because the key thing about marketing is that you are in the job now of getting people to take action. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, social media is about chat, people having conversations and people talking all kinds of random garbage and things like that. So that is fine when you're using social media as a conversational tool to be keeping in contact with your friends and family and all that good stuff. But when it comes to marketing, you're there to actually get people to take some kind of action. If they've never heard of your brand before, that action might be, okay, now I am aware that this company exists. Now I'm aware of who this person is. And now I have got a sense of what they do. So therefore, when I get more messages, I've already automatically switched on to, okay, I know those guys. I know they're based over there. I know this is the kind of things that they sell. I know they're funky, or I know they're very serious, or, they're very intellectual, or they're very friendly. There's an emotional connection that happens around your brand. And so that's the marketing piece. You're always trying to get people to take action on your posts, whatever you do. And as soon as you can do that, then you're winning, basically. And what it means is that rather than having 2% or 3%, which is average on Facebook, of people actually seeing your content, never mind engaging with it, then if you manage to get that engagement happening, then you can have 100% or 1,000% or 10,000% of people actually seeing your content. Okay, so the reach will expand depending on how much engagement you get. And that engagement should always come from prospects and not the randoms, because then that will define how you move forward and whether you're able to grow your business online or not. So defining your target audience is everything. You need to work out, what does my typical customer have? What do they need? What do they look like? What motivates my typical customer? So for example, most businesses have got the mindset of this is what I do, this is who we are, these are the awards that we've won, please contact me. So that's completely the wrong approach to take on social media. When it comes to social media, you have to be more about inviting people to participate in your group, in your community that you have created. So if you're doing things like lives, if you're doing things like videos and things like that, that's going to have a much, much bigger impact than if you're just posting and posting and posting and posting, okay? So one of the key criteria for target audience is really nailing who it is you're trying to inspire. So with Radio Tay, for example, one of the radio show companies in Scotland, they have a buyer persona, typical audience called Maigret. And Maigret, basically the cardboard cutout, she also sits in the boardroom. She also sits in the back of the studio whenever the DJs are presenting, and she sits there, and they have to target everything that they do around what Maigret is doing. They've mapped out Maigret's life and Maigret's day. They know that she's married to somebody who works in trades. She's got a part-time job at a local school. She's got 2 children in primary school. She takes the trades holidays, goes off to the south of Spain at 9 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, at 12 o'clock. They know exactly what she's doing, and they're building the entire show around Maigret. And that is literally how all organizations need to operate when they're working on social media. For another example is a business that I was working with in Aberdeen. They were setting up an online teaching service for kids and parents. And they were busy creating all the different things to do with their website and their marketing and stuff like that. And then they were ready to create their first blog. So they created it, and then they showed it to me and they said, what do you think about it? What do you think about it, Finn? Is there anything we need to do to be better at this blog? So they were looking at me to be able to give them all kinds of clues, and you should maybe change the text around here and maybe put some bullet points in there. I said to them one thing. I said, guys, remember who your buyer persona. Your buyer persona is Katrina. She's 32. She's got 1 child. She does part-time teaching. What does Katrina think of this particular blog? And as soon as they looked at it with fresh eyes of the Katrina looking at it, they suddenly said the whole thing needs to be thrown out, okay? Because Katrina is just going to look at it and go, oh my God, what are they talking about? Too much garbage, too much noise, too much everything. And they were like, right, we need to throw the whole thing away. So that's the difference between actually doing the marketing where you're kind of shouting about who you are, as opposed to doing the marketing, which is trying to inspire your key audience and your target audience, okay? So what needs does my typical consumer have? What needs does my product or service solve? So it's not good enough to say, I'm selling Mercedes cars and they are super sleek and the engineering is amazing. So that's one part of the marketing message. But the real part of the marketing message is it makes people go, ooh. And it boosts up your status, and it makes your neighbors along the street get all kinds of jealous and annoyed that you're moving ahead in life. But as a marketer, if you're the marketing people in charge of Mercedes, you don't want to be saying, okay, the message is you want to buy the Mercedes because it's going to make your neighbors jealous. That's going to be a bit naff. So you have to couch your marketing in different kinds of ways, but you know exactly what the real drivers are behind any consumption that happens. And similarly, you need to know that consumer so well, you know exactly what's happening, as I was saying about Radio Tay and Maigret, at any given point of the day. So that even McDonald's, for example, who say, we can sell hamburgers from dawn till dusk at any part of the world, but nobody's going to buy it unless they're actually hungry. So we need to be constantly omnipresent on all the channels, on the posters, on the Facebook, on the TV, and every single drive-by you can come across, so that when people do hit that hunger moment, or as we call it in marketing, the zero moment of truth, when somebody's ready to say, okay, I've got my purse out, which one is going to get my money? You need to be ready so that the money comes in your direction. So that's why it's really important to do that buyer persona analysis. And honestly, when I do the coaching and training with people in depth, with companies in depth, it's a big exercise because we really, really want to get under the skin of who you're trying to inspire, as opposed to just chucking content out there and going, right, I've done my Facebook update, I've done my Twitter update, moving on, and why is nothing working? So you need to look at their demographics, what are they interested in, where do they live? And these things are so important because once you manage to get a good organic strategy right, you know, that means you've got very good engagement happening. You're not paying any money for content or anything like that. You know, there's a very good vibe happening around the brand, for example. If you get that right, then what happens is when you go up and actually start putting the ads together to make sure it's going out to the specific groups that you're wanting to influence, then that budget is going to perform very well. Normally, if anybody's actually had a look at the ads before, you will see that, oh, if you pay £5, then your content is going to be seen by between 3,000 and 8,000 people. So the reality is, if your ad is a shitey ad, it's only going to be seen by 3,000, and it'll only be very fleeting as well, because as far as Facebook is concerned, or Instagram, that is not an ad which is performing, or any kind of content performing well on this particular page. So we're going to limit the damage, and we're going to charge them a fortune. So this is where a lot of companies come to me and say, we've spent a small fortune on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and we're getting no return whatsoever. And normally it's because they haven't got that organic strategy right. So when they take that crappy strategy up to the ads, then it just shows that they haven't understood how to inspire and influence their target consumer. So it's absolutely essential to get a good understanding. What are their likes? You know, are they people who read Marie Claire? Are they people who read The Sun? Are they people who, what kind of TV programs do they watch? And this is not a random exercise to fill out some kind of business plan. This is literally how you put your ads together to make sure. So if you've got a shop, for example, that's selling ski stuff online, obviously, and you want to be able to target an ad campaign, which, by the way, it sounds like it's expensive, but it's like literally £5 a day, as long as you know how to do it. And you want to make sure that all the women between 25 and 45 who live within 10 miles of your store, who have 2 children, who are fans of your competitors, who are fans of Val d'Isère Resorts or the Aviemore Resorts, or who are fans of different ski magazines, or fans of different ski groups, then that is an ad that's going to perform incredibly well because of the highly refined targeting that happens. And you can only do that highly refined targeting once you've already done the initial exercise, which is, what does my buyer persona look like? So get digging deep and find out who your buyer persona is, so you can really serve up some inspirational, outstanding content that's going to make them take some kind of action. If you're not getting the reaction, it's not marketing. Okay, what motivates your typical consumer? What moves them to try out the product or service? Because remember, it doesn't matter how fantastic that product is. If you have never heard of them before, this company, if you're not a fan of theirs, you don't particularly like them, you don't trust them, you ain't never gonna buy anything from them. So for example, if you were to get a Cartier bag, do they do bags? A Dior bag, let's do Dior. If you were gonna get a Dior bag, maybe it's gonna be like 1,500, you'd be like, oh my God, that's a really expensive bag. But if you were finding it on a backstreet market for £5 and it said Dior, you'd be like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? So you got to be very careful about all the elements that build that like, knowing, and trust in order to make that purchase. And normally it takes a lot of marketing to be able to sell something at a very, very elevated price. Okay. So what motivates the typical consumer? And then the target audience is very business to business. So if you, and then this is one of the problems of doing social media training, because whenever we're doing it live or whenever we're doing it online, you know, we've got in the group, you know, people who are interested in space technology and breaching the final frontiers of Scottish outer space. And then we have people who run restaurants, and then we have people who are selling beauty products, and then we have people who are scientists, and then we have people who are lawyers. So we got such a huge range of different people online that when we do these kind of general kind of free events, it's always going to be the generic information that you're going to get. When it actually comes to doing the marketing properly, that's when you drill down into the nitty gritty and the details of what that strategy is going to be. Because the strategy that's going to be right for that restaurant is going to be completely different from that graphic design firm, is going to be completely different from that online jewelry shop. And that goes for whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. It's going to be a different strategy for each one, depending on what kind of restaurant they are. If it's a 5-star restaurant or it's a 1-star restaurant, you know, their marketing is going to be completely different accordingly, because the target audience is completely different as well. So you need to make sure you've defined your target audience. You understand it very, very in detail. What needs does my typical customer have? What does my typical customer look like? And what motivates my typical customer? So quick words to the wise. If you're putting out any kind of content on social media, whether it's videos, lives, blogs, you know, just a post update or anything like that, a carousel post, then there's a particular type of formula that used to work in old school marketing that still works today in social media and digital marketing, and it's called AIDA. That's AIDA. AIDA. It's nothing to do with opera. It's to do with attention, interest, desire, and then action. So in order for anybody to take action, you need to grab their attention, stimulate their interest, activate their desire with a juicy offer, and then they're going to take action. So if we want to put it into the terms of the 3-star restaurant, you want to grab their attention by saying 2 for 1 to celebrate the end of lockdown, on the juiciest hamburgers in the city. And then interest would be bring your fans and family. We've got 2-meter distancing throughout the restaurant, so I don't think you're allowed to sit in the restaurants yet, but you know what I mean. Work with me here. And then the desire is you'll also get a free glass of wine to celebrate. Free glass of champagne even. So that's the desire activated. So what do you think the chances are of people actually going into that restaurant this weekend? Pretty damn high, because you've actually shaped that message in a way that entices people to take action. So you have the attention, the interest, the desire, and the action. That's AIDA. Or the other one that I kind of prefer, because I'm a bit mean, is called PASA. That's called you find out what the pain is or the desire, but people are often motivated by pain, but they could also be motivated by desire. You have to test it out. Find out what their pain is. Have you got dry, flaky skin? Or are you starving and you're bored of the usual restaurants? All that kind of stuff. You find out what that pain is. You amplify the pain. And then you offer the salve. And then the people will take action. Okay? So I hope that's given you some quick ideas on how to put shape your message in order to get people to take action, as opposed to doing the here we are announcing. That's what people always do. Business owners are always announcing stuff. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit guilty of that as well. We are limited in time. I should do better always. But when we put our good social media marketing hats on, we do show best practice as often as we can. It's only for a rush that we default to shouting and announcing, which is not marketing. Okay, so let's crack on with the posting and best practices. And I just want to tell you also that these slides are kind of video slides, but because of the fact that I'm not going full screen, I'm not able to show the videos. So that's the kind of downside. All right, so the anatomy of a post. When you put a post together on Facebook, and here you've got an example of the classic Jasper's Boutique, which they always use as examples on Facebook. So you can see that you can put in some kind of commentary and then click on a photo or video to update that, and then click on even how are you feeling, and then move from there. So then you can actually decide whether you want to put a post together, which might be a survey, or you could even decide to boost the post as well to make sure more people see it. In these slides, it's going to emphasize the fact that you want to boost the post. However, I want to warn you, because it's me and I'm talking to you, that when you boost post, that's indicating to Facebook that you're an amateur, all right? Any business owner who's boosting posts, and actually I've come across very large organizations and marketing teams who are still boosting posts, it's basically handing your checkbook over to Facebook. Although I love them, they're very rich and they don't need more of your money than we need to give them. We need to limit the amount of money we're giving them in order to get the message out there, okay? So, although I'm going to be teaching you today about boosting posts and using the Ad Center, ideally what you need to do when you start getting more advanced on your Facebook strategy is actually use, sorry about that. What you need to be doing is thinking more about using the Ads Manager. So when the Ads Manager, that's where you're going to see a whole bunch of new possibilities when it comes to actually putting your ads together, which allows you to target more specifically your target audience. But not just that, you also get to do retargeting, which is the magic juice of Facebook. So basically, you can retarget those people who've watched more than 20% of your video. What that means is, if you put up a video onto your Facebook and a whole bunch of people have watched it, you can send an ad to them that says, you know, give them a special offer basically, and you know that they're warm prospects now because they have that ad has gone to people who've watched more than 20% of that video. Crazy, huh? And then you can also target an ad to people who've been on your website. So every single person who's been on your website over the last 365 days, or even the last 24 hours, you can make sure there's an ad that pops up at them on Facebook and says, hi, you almost completed your purchase. Can we give you a new incentive in order for you to complete your purchase? All these kinds of things. You can even put your database in there into Ads Manager or even Business Manager, but that's an even more complicated subject. And then you can say to Facebook, okay, I want you to show ads to everybody on my database. Okay, that's kind of crazy and kind of freaky, but it gets even more crazy and freaky because what happens is you can say to Facebook, not only do I want my content to be seen by this database, but I want you to give me a lookalike audience. So 100% of those people who have the same characteristics as the people on my database. So you might be wondering, how the hell is that possible? That sounds like voodoo. But the reality is that everybody leaves a digital footprint online. So it doesn't matter where you go in this world, what you're doing. The reality is every time you go onto a website, there's some kind of cookie following you there. There's some kind of pixel that's following you there. So if I want to set up an ad that's going to everybody that's a lawyer who lives within 5 miles of Edinburgh, I can make sure that those lawyers aged between 35 and 45 who are female, for example, and who are fans of the Law Society of Scotland, all of them will see that content. All of them will see that message. All of them. You're not just sticking it up on your Facebook and hoping for the best. Maybe one day a lawyer is going to see it. No, that's never going to happen. What you can do is you set up the budget, you set up the targeting, And then you make sure it's seen by those specific audiences. It's seen by that lawyer, those lawyers who are female, who are aged between 35 and 45, who live within 5 miles of Edinburgh. That is the insanity of the targeting of Facebook and Instagram. And the reason why we know, even if this lawyer or these lawyers haven't put "I am a lawyer" on their Facebook profile, that doesn't matter. That's not a problem for us marketers, as digital marketers, because of the fact that we can track them based on their pixels. You know, we know who they are based on the fact that they have liked the Law Society of Scotland. They've been on the Law Society of Scotland website. They've been looking at the Scots Law Times, for example. We know that these people are fans of other kind of law firms. So as a result of that kind of profile, we're going to send them messages, and it's definitely going to arrive in their newsfeed while they're holding their phone, because 80% of people who are on their social media are using their phone in order to get there. So that's why you need to be very specific about who your target market is and how to make sure that they get that information. Okay, any questions so far? Are you still with me? We're already at 10 minutes past and I've been blethering away like a crazy thing. Okay, here you can see examples of using the visual effects for your text posts. So here they say, we have a sale on pea coats this week, buy one, get the other half off. Again, always think about putting some kind of deal together, because if you're anything like me, I'm not going to follow any old brand just for the hell of it, just because they've asked me to. I'm going to follow it because I want to see some kind of deal coming in my face at some point, because I'm already a fan of that company or that brand or that service or product, but I want a little deal coming up in my face one day. All right, so posting best practices. Use high quality photos and videos. Always, 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 if you can. But it doesn't necessarily matter if you are not a professional photographer, because the reality is, you know, you can pay a photographer, or you can marry a photographer, or have somebody, or breed a photographer, and that's fine. You know, you have that advantage. But on the other hand, when it comes to social media, people are not too bothered about the high quality of the photos and videos, but they are bothered about the story. If your story is really compelling, enticing, and engaging, then they're not bothered about the production values at all, if you can actually get them with an amazing story. So always be thinking about the highest quality that you can manage in terms of getting your message out there. And what works more than anything is the videos and the lives. So although they're saying, you know, use the photos, yeah, photos are definitely going to tell 1,000 words. But what works 100% more are the videos and the lives. So whenever people start working with me and I'm coaching them, they're always going to have to come up with some kind of video or live strategy to get their message out there. And everybody absolutely craps it because they're mortified about the idea of going on camera. And guess what? They eventually get around to it and they can see the results, and it ultimately totally makes sense. So as we were saying, you have to make sure all the posts are actionable. You need to go through the AIDA formula: action, interest, desire, and then tell them to take an action. Even if these are people who've never come across you before, right? You can't sell them buy my product if they've never heard of you before, right? So you can still get them to take action. You can say, if you think this is good, share it, or tag a friend, or all these kinds of things. So you're trying to get people who've never come across you before to take the action which has got the least amount of friction on it. It's not going to cost them too much. They're not going to have to go faffing around filling in an email or anything like that. They're not at that stage of the sales funnel yet, okay? You need to think about where are they and how do we get them further down that sales funnel to the point where, okay, I know all about this particular brand. I know exactly that they're trustworthy, and they've got a special deal on at the moment. I'm ready to buy. Let's go. So make sure that there's always an action on it. If I read an amazing blog or watch a fantastic video from a small business or even a micro business, I will just move on to the next thing, right? Because that's just my instinct. I'm just a human. I just consume stuff, even if it's been amazing or really good read. But if somebody says, you know, if you like this, share it with some friends, it would really help to get the message out and things like that. That is like, wow, yeah, definitely. Because, you know, I would never have thought about doing that had they not told me to do that. I would have just carried on consuming. So always make sure every single post has some kind of action before it, inside of it, and that action is one with least friction involved, even in terms of, you know, just put down what your name is, or let us know where you're based and things like that. All those kind of frictionless kind of actions, and which brings them further down the sales funnel, but also helps with your engagement rate. Always get the engagement rate going. And then keep it simple. Are you ready for summer? Ask questions. You know, questions are the easiest ways to get engagement. The Jaspers summer selection is now available. Woohoo! 30% off all qualifying, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I also want to let you know that this post would never work as an ad, ever. Because Facebook and all the platforms get very, very serious about what kind of content you're putting up there as ads. When it comes to your normal posts, they know that because of the fact that it's hardly going to be seen by most people, they're not that bothered about what you do. But if you were to try and turn that into an ad, it would never work, because they don't like any posts or any ads that have got more than 20% text on it. So just word to the wise. And then there's another thousands of different rules behind what makes a good ad and what makes a bad ad. That's for another training session. Okay, and you can also have the option of pinning it to the top of the page, so that if you've got a particular offer at the moment, your most important offer is always at the top of the page, and no matter what you put up over the next couple of days or weeks, that post will always be at the top of the page. So that's really good for things like Twitter as well, if you put a pinned post up at the top. You can focus on recent, personal, and meaningful kind of interactions. Come check out the newest items in our shop, for example. That's more of an announcement, really. So let's try it. Make a post from your mobile device. We're not going to have any time to do that. You can do it in your own time right now. But think about your audience. For text posts, try to change the background and add emojis. For photos and videos, select an image or video from your camera roll, or take one right now. Yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't you take a picture of you learning from Finn and the Supersize Media and the She Means Business Scotland show, and then talk about the learning experience that you've had from doing a Facebook Live or a Facebook training on Zoom, for example. And then try to apply the best practices, which are using high quality creatives, making the post actionable. So don't just post it. Try and make sure your people are going to take some kind of action, and then keep the posts simple. Okay. So optimizing for mobile. By 2021, which is pretty much coming crashing upon us very shortly, 78% of all mobile data will be video. That was Facebook's claim back in 1917, and they're pretty much there now. Originally, they were trying to go toe-to-toe with YouTube, and they announced that they are going to have more people watching video on Facebook than on YouTube. And everybody's like, what the hell? How is that even possible? YouTube is all video. But the reality is, if you as a business put up videos and lives, that means more and more people are watching videos and lives, and therefore they're going to hit their targets. Which means that if you as a business put up some kind of video or live, you're helping Facebook to achieve their targets, and they will reward you with a massive algorithm boost. So whereas if you were putting up some kind of post or link post or text post or visual photo post, that will get a certain level of reach. When it comes to the video or the live, it will get a massive reach in comparison. So that's why you always have to think about a video or a live strategy. At Facebook, we know that 47% of the value in a video campaign is delivered in the first 3 seconds. Because of this, it is critical to capture attention right away and consolidate your message to 15 seconds or less. Yes, ma'am, that is true. All right, so capturing attention early. Start with the most captivating elements. Incorporate your brand identity early. Hook people with your most engaging content and use recognizable characters or products. And this would normally be a video that would play, but because we're not full screening it, we can't do it. Then the next one, these are all videos that are playing as well to show you that the videos are outperforming the normal posts massively. And you can tell that these are all ads because it says sponsored, sponsored, sponsored on them. And as a result of the fact that it's sponsored, it's now going out to 5, 10, 20,000 people, but the 5, 10, or 20,000 people that you specifically specify. And because of the fact that it's being seen by so many more people, then the engagement rate is going to be much, much higher. So you can see this post was seen by like 100 people, engaged with by 100 people, and had 102 comments on it. That would never be possible for the Banana Republic if they just posted it up on their newsfeed. That is only possible. Those kinds of figures are only possible if you've got some kind of ad going on, basically, and it's a video in general. This is another one for Jasper's Market. That's the fake one. They totally made that one up. And then this is a video of a mountaineering company. And then this is a video of the selling glasses and things. All right, so create your content calendar. This is a fun one. So some of the ideas that you could be using to actually entice and allure your customers are things like running a contest, competition, or giveaway. I mean, these work like gangbusters. If you've got some kind of service, you can do like a 7-day challenge or a 5-day challenge or a 24-hour challenge or something like that. Same with products. You can share fan testimonials. You can crowdsource feedback. The testimonials are really, really important because it's all very well for one company to say, oh yeah, I'm fantastic. But really, it's only when the fans start talking about how fantastic they are do they actually start to believe them, because nobody believes the business is, you know, blowing their own trumpet type of thing. So get those testimonials in there as regularly as possible, because even if they're kind of cheesy and they don't necessarily help with the engagement, because nobody's really going to comment and share on that, but you might get quite a lot of likes to it. You can crowdsource feedback, which means you're asking people to actually send in their versions, just like I was doing just now with you taking a photo of this experience. There are bars and restaurants in and around Edinburgh that are now starting to offer pub food, for example, that you can take away. And so they're getting people to actually take photos of it and post it up on social media and say, here's me with my pub food from McGilligan's or whatever. And then that is giving that particular pub massive, massive reach, because so many of their customers are actually doing their marketing for them. And that's the trick of social media marketing, is because you're being social, then people will be social back. And that means they're helping you with their marketing, with your marketing. You can put up a poll or a survey. You can ask a question, you can share industry news, and you can celebrate a holiday. So for example, at the moment we've got, I think this is International Environmental Day. We had an International Children's Day at the beginning of the week. You could always use things like hashtag Friday, which is a hashtag which happens on Friday where people are celebrating the weekend. You can use hashtag Motivation Monday, hashtag Wine Day for Wednesday, and things like that. So there's all the different kinds of things you can be posting about. Or you can even take trending posts, for example. Obviously, I was on Radio Scotland earlier on today talking about Twitter and Trump. And so we've been putting out posts on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, I don't think Instagram. Yeah, Instagram went out yesterday to talk about the fact that I was going to be talking about David Trump, President Trump, on BBC Radio Scotland. So that's for people who want to be able to listen in, but it's also, most importantly, establishing my authority as a brand leader, as a thought leader in the social media digital economy space. Okay, so even if they're not necessarily going to be ever customers of mine, clients of mine, they will definitely say the next time somebody says, I'm looking for a social media blah, then they'll say, oh yeah, you should check out Finn Wycherley. She's always on the radio, or she's always on TV and things like that. Okay, so if you have a spreadsheet or you want to just kind of screenshot this, you can help yourself. This will give you an idea how to plan your posts. So you put the dates up of what dates you're going to be posting. And inside your Facebook Insights, this is where you need to go. When you have a business page on Facebook and you go into your Insights panel, you're going to see exactly what time of the day is the best time to post, what day of the week is the best day to post, based on the people who are your fans. And remember, if those are friends and family, they're not your prospects, so that doesn't count. So get the fans, get the actual prospects to be fans of your company, and then you can get the best time of day to actually post. And normally I find with most businesses and business owners, the first 200-300 people are generally kind of friends, family, stakeholders, and those that have had their arms twisted behind their backs to geese alike and stuff like that. So when you understand what's the optimum time of day to be posting, because if you're posting at a time when most people are not online, then you're going to be wasting your time. You have to find out, do the analytics, and that's a great thing about social media, because you can check out the minutiae of detail in terms of how many people opened it up, how many people looked at it, how long did they look at it, did they ever come back and have a look at it, all those kinds of things. Decide what your theme is, decide on your format, big clue, it's going to be video or live. Decide what the visual and message is going to be, and then what the caption or action or offer is going to be as well. So then it says boost your post. So I'm not going to recommend that, but we're going to go through the process. And I would recommend boosting your post just to get started and being familiar with what the whole ads process involves. Okay, so this is basically amateur hour posting ads, but at least it gives you some idea of how it all happens. So you just go to your normal posts. You decide you want to boost a post. These are the options. You can promote your send message button. You can promote your page. You can promote your business locally, and you can get more website visitors and get more leads. These are all the options available within what they call the Ad Center, and that is easily available within your page. But as I said, it gives too much power and money to Facebook, and I don't necessarily recommend it, but it's good to get you started. So to boost a post and get additional engagement, likes, shares, and comments on a post you've already created, click on the boost post. And then you boost it. Oh, sorry, I must have clicked back again. Click on the boost post, and then Facebook is going to say, okay, do you want to get more reaction, or do you want to be able to connect and chat with potential customers? And then what kind of button? Do you want to learn more, buy now, sign up? You can change all the buttons. And then you can choose edit your targeting. So you can edit people who live within Edinburgh, who are aged between 15 and 21, or people who live in your local area, and put on your automatic placements. And then it could also even go out to Instagram at the same time. And then you can click on here, it's going to show you your desktop, what it looks like, and then click again, it's going to show you mobile, what it looks like. And then you click on boost, and then basically Facebook will then decide whether you're not breaking any of the rules and regulations, like you've not got more than 20% text, you're not trying to sell alcohol to minors, you're not threatening violence to the people of Minneapolis, like Trump was doing today. So you've got to make sure you're not breaking any rules, and then Facebook will approve your post. Normally, if it's the first time, it could take up to 24 hours before they approve, because they want to check you out. They'll check out what you've been doing organically on your pages before you do the ads. But eventually, once you're doing it often enough, it's a kind of robot that checks it. But sometimes the robot will approve, and then 24 hours later, they will disapprove it. You have the option to be able to challenge that if you want to, if you're sure you're not breaking any of the rules. However, I want to warn you, oops, we're running out of time. I want to warn you that you don't want to get disapprovals. It's really, really bad karma to get disapprovals, because if you get enough disapprovals on your ads, basically Facebook will shut down your entire account. And I know it's happened to 2 people here in Edinburgh, and it's just heartbreaking, because they're just little small startup businesses. They're doing very, very well, but enough disapprovals on their ads and that's it, you're out of business. And it's going to be tricky to set up another business with a different name and everything if you've built your business on Facebook. So here it's showing you all about the different buttons you can press, and then click shop now, and it will do the recommendation based on, okay, how many days do you want it to set up, what's your budget. You can determine the budget. You can say £5 a day, £3 a day, £10 a day, but I would always go small at the beginning so that you can actually check that it's actually working or not. Because if it's not working, there's no point in chucking more money at it, right? Am I right? Then you have to make sure your Facebook pixel is set up. That's a piece of tech which allows you to put a piece of code on your website. So therefore, every time somebody goes from Facebook to your website, you're capturing that information and you can retarget to them after. That's where the magic happens. So then they give you a summary of what you've ordered, and then that's it, you're good to go. Okay, so the power of insights. We're gonna rattle through this one now because we got over time. I talked too much. You guys have been keeping me busy with all your questions. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So you need to go and check everything that works so you can do more of the good stuff that's working, and then eliminate all the crappy stuff that's not getting any results whatsoever. And you can do that by looking in depth at your insights. See what resonates with your audience, decide when and how frequently to post, optimize your post targeting, decide which posts to boost or to go into the ads manager, see how your boosted posts perform. So what you want to do is you go into the insights section. So this particular slide is slightly out of date. Now it's up at the top, but you can't get access to the insights information unless you're an administrator of the page. So I can't go and check out what your posts have been like. I can't see how many views you've had. I can't see how many video views you've had, or how much the platform has grown, or what your audience demographics look like, unless I have access to the admin, which shows me what's going on behind the scenes of your business. So it's only available to the business owners or the people who've got access, been given the access. So you go into the insights and then you check on overview. That's going to give you an overview of how that page has performed in the last 7 days, but you can also do it in the last 28 days as well. Then you can slide down further in the overview and it's going to show you your best performing posts. And as you can see here, they're putting up a lot of content, but hardly anybody is seeing it. Look, this one's been seen by 7 people, 5 people, 24 people. So you need to look at that and understand that because there was 0 engagement on those posts, practically nobody saw it. Again, 0 engagement on the post, the reach is very, very low. However, here, you can see that they have paid. This is that dark orange means that they have paid for this piece of content to be seen. And as a result of that, it's had a massive engagement of 19 post clicks and 8 reactions, comments, and shares. So that shows you how the big difference that happens where you pay like £5 and suddenly it's being seen by 361 people. But I would say this is not even a good strategy, because all of those posts that they're doing here, they should 100% be getting way more engagement on them in order to make sure those numbers are up in the 200s easily. So that means that when they're putting their ads budget together, it's going to be very expensive too. So then you get a summary of how your ads have performed, how much was spent, how much engagement you get, how many people saw it. And then you get the summary of the performance of it as well. So what to look for in the campaign insights is the demographics, the positive engagement, the negative engagement, and the time and the frequency of the post. So key takeaways: when you're working with Facebook or any of the social media platforms, it's the same principles involved. If you're not getting engagement, you're not doing social media, and you're certainly not doing marketing if all you're doing is posting and ghosting and hoping. So your takeaways today are leverage options available for the Facebook posts, which means use your videos and get your live set up, optimize your posts for mobile, plan what posts to boost based on your business goals, use insights to test and iterate. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. If you want to find out more information, you can go to facebook.com/blueprint. And that's it. Thank you very much. Has anybody got any questions? I'm going to stay a bit longer today to see if anybody got any questions. I am looking at your questions now in the Facebook group, woohoo, and on Zoom. So if anybody's got any questions, I am all ears. I'm ready to listen to them. So I've got one here from Jack Burns. Hi, Jack. How you doing? Nice to see you. I was in Bali with Jack. Astonishing woman. Wonderful. If you're thinking about writing a bestseller, you need to speak to Jack Burns, okay? So she says, I listened a day early and ended up hearing all about skincare. Oh, okay then, fine. So no questions about today's session. All right, Kathy, I'm sure you've got a question. Yeah, it's great to see you too. And Michelle, it's great to be on live as well. Yeah, definitely. Give you some hearts. All right, so we don't have any more questions. We'll just wrap up then, because that's the final of the She Means Business Scotland Season 1. I'm going to run out into the sunshine, but I will still be working, but getting a suntan at the same time. Well, kind of protected suntan, all that. Okay, so thank you very much for being with us today. It's been my pleasure to be with you, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And I'm looking forward to being able to come back and entertain you some more in the new season. Okay, so I will see you soon. Okay, cheers guys. Bye.